Program, this lady has spanned many decades, taken charge of the future, and challenged the mind of every American that has dared to dream and acted upon those dreams. I present to you the Clara Luper Show with Mrs. Clara Luper.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a happy good evening to you wherever you are. This is a Clara Luper radio show, and today's show is being brought to you by your Allstate insurance agent, Marilyn Hildred. Marilyn Hildred would like to thank you for visiting with Clara Luper every Saturday. Every Saturday is exciting, and it's exciting because you, the radio audience, you are listening. And today I would like to send this out to a friend of mine in Wewoka, Oklahoma, Mrs. Richmond, who never misses the Clara Luper radio show. Today's show shall be excited, and I would like to first announce and congratulate all of you that have been involved in religious activities during the week. This should be a better week. This should be a crime-free week because during the past week, we've heard the gospel. We've heard the gospel from practically every Baptist church in this county. And now, it's time for us to think about it and put it into action. Some way we must wake up to the fact that we aren't killers, we aren't thieves, we are human beings that realize that every man has a right to live, to act, and be happy. I'm expecting representatives from the NAACP senior branch because this year, the 1990 membership drive is headed by that eminent Mr. Eddie Stamps. Mr. Eddie Stamps will be calling upon you, and he will be here because Mr. Eddie Stamps told me that he would be here today, so we are certainly waiting for him out here. Every time we think about NAACP, someone asks me, what has the NAACP done? And that person that asked me that was sitting in a restaurant. And I say to that person that happened to be black, I say the NAACP made it possible for you to sit here. Now, if you want me to detail what the NAACP has done, I will tell you. The NAACP got rid of the grandfather's clause when they were trying to put it on the books, on the statutes of Oklahoma. It was the NAACP that made it possible for somebody as black as me to move anywhere in this town that I would like to. The NAACP made it possible for somebody as black as me to ride anywhere on a bus. The NAACP made it possible for somebody as black as me to receive the same salary as other teachers. The NAACP opened the doors of the universities in Oklahoma where somebody as black as me could enter those universities. Yes, the NAACP integrated the schools through the Dow case. And don't tell me what the good people did. It was a NAACP that did it. So you're going to ask me, why should you take an NAACP membership? Because you're too intelligent not to take one. You are so intelligent that you realize that the history of blacks in America is different. And what has made a difference has been the NAACP. So I'm not going to ask you to buy a membership. Rather, I'm going to give you an envelope, and I expect you to do the buying yourself. The NAACP and representatives of the Nigerian community met with the chief of police, the Honorable Wilder, the Assistant Chief Berry, and two other officers to discuss the recent killing at the city jail. The chief of police told us that he was going to do everything that he was supposed to do. And from the news reports we have heard, we believe him. Now all eyes are on Oklahoma City, and the eyes of the nation are on Oklahoma to see what will happen. Will the true story be told? What will happen? We want everybody to know that we stood up for the rights of that Nigerian to live. We pledge our support to the Nigerians that have come to this country looking for better educational opportunities and not for police brutality. We stand with them. We understand the feelings because we've had that experience of seeing our people suffer, and we have seen our people beaten by police. We've seen them falsely arrested. And we still cry out. The message is clear. Police brutality must go. We also speak out against black-on-black crime. There was a time in the history of this state when we feared the Ku Klux Klan. But now the Ku Klux Klan's history has just about evaporated in Oklahoma. We no longer have the Ku Klux Klans in uniforms marching down the streets saying nasty things about blacks. But we have blacks cursing blacks. We have blacks killing blacks. It has to stop. The punishment for killing a black must be looked at in terms of killing. And as black people, can't we understand that we are destroying ourselves and future generations? Every time you kill a black man, you're really killing a black child. Whether it's a boy or girl, because that black young man would never have the opportunity to make a contribution to our nation. We cannot afford to lose another person. You say to me, Clara, that's not your business. It is my business. I love you. I want to see you live. And I want everybody to enjoy life. I want you to enjoy it to its fullest. And speaking of enjoying life, lady, it's Miss Black Oklahoma time in the state of Oklahoma. Last week we were down to Ardmore, Oklahoma, and that was something to behold. In Ardmore last week, Zandria Grant, the granddaughter of the well-known Milton Grant, was crowned Miss Black Ardmore. Those of you that have been with us for the past 21 years in the Miss Black Oklahoma pageant, I want to tell you something, and I want you to listen very closely. Last year, you were there. You were there in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. But the pageant has grown. I knew it would grow because I knew that we were operating a pageant to benefit the young ladies and the people. I knew that. Over the past years, we have given away over $100,000 in scholarships, in trips, in prizes. And when I say we, I'm talking about our fine supporters, you. I'm talking about the Phillips Petroleum Company. I'm talking about Allstate Insurance Company. I'm talking about Joe Esco, the Southwestern Bell Telephone Company, and others. I'm talking about OG&E. But most of all, I'm talking about you that have supported the pageant. The pageant has grown. Last year, there were 17 young ladies. And Letty wants to know, how many young ladies do we have now?
Really, and I want to know where they're from because, last year we had a big surprise. We had a big surprise because there was a city here in Oklahoma that wanted to be part of this pageant. And we didn't dream that this city was even concerned, and that was Miss Bristow. Bristow wanted to be recognized and be put in the pageant, and they really prepared their contestant, and Bristow was really behind Miss Bristow. Now, who do we have now, Mrs. Luper?
I'm happy to report that this year we have 44 cities, colleges, and universities represented. That would mean that we will only have, and I want you to listen to me very closely, 200 tickets to sell to the general public. With 44 contestants with 26 pages, we only have, how many hundreds did I say, Letty?
Well, I'm wondering if we have that many. You said
You have
200. But I'm wondering, will we really have 200 tickets for the public?
I don't know. Now, those of you that have not gotten your tickets for the state, which is June 23rd, you had better get them this week. We only have, once the contestants, all 44 of them, have gotten their quota of tickets, the pages. We have only 200 left. And we have to use this old philosophy, first come, first serve. Now, Letty, you wanted to know who the contestants are.
That's true.
Okay, I'm going to give them to you in groups. This
All
year,
right.
Ada will have a representative here. Miss Altus, Oklahoma, is sending Belinda Kilgore. Ardmore is sending Zandra Grant. Boley, Oklahoma, is sending Francine McLeod. Bristow has not selected their young lady yet, but will before the 1st of May, Letty. Britain is sending Terry Spinks. Cameron University, Michelle Montz. Central State, Carol Thames. Chandler, Hardisha Burgess. Choctaw, Tiffany Bolden. Dale City, Beverly Parker. Dover, Flundale Cartwell. Enid, Don Best. El Reno, Carol Allen. Guthrie, Oklahoma, Sharon Walker. Now, according to Clara Eckers, the Guthrie Job Corps will be sending a beautiful young lady, and that announcement will come next week. Hayworth, Oklahoma, Yolanda Woods. Hollis, Oklahoma, Rolanda Butler, and it looks like Hollis is going to bring the whole town. Jones, Oklahoma, Tammy S. Lee. Langston University will select their young lady on April the 28th when they have Miss Black Langston University. Langston, Oklahoma will be sending a young lady from that city, Linnell Hicks. Midwest City, Nachar Davis. Moore, Oklahoma, Cynthia Stevenson. Muskogee, Oklahoma, Gina Leslie. Norman, Oklahoma, Cherie Brooks. And for the first time in the history of this pageant, guess what university will be sending a young lady to participate in the pageant?
I can't guess, Mrs. Luper. You've named so many, so I'm going to have to let you tell me.
Northeastern State University in Tahlequah will be sending a lovely Lisa Benjamin. And those people at Northeastern say they are sending her up here after the crown. Now, that's what the people say down up in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. I'm not through, Letty. I told you I had 44.
44. Well, maybe we should go for 50.
Miss Black, Oklahoma City will be selected on May 5th, and you are invited to be a part of that pageant. We do have some tickets left for the Miss Black, Oklahoma City pageant. Oklahoma University, Miss Black, Oklahoma City University is Cherie Mitchell. Miss Black, Oklahoma State University Technical Branch is sending Lamar Thompson. Oklahoma University selected its own Tiffany Peakies. Miss Black, Oklahoma State University is Cessny D. Center. Miss Black, Owassa, and that's the first time Owassa has sent a representative, and that's Lisa Anderson. Miss Black, Ponca City is Tanae Shalon Spite. Miss Black, Purcell, and this is the first time in the history of Purcell we've had a young lady to represent that city, and that lady is Nicole Hamilton. Miss Black, Putnam City, Monet Booker. Miss Black, Quail Creek, Sonia Diara Carter. We have been informed, too, that Rose State will be sending a young lady this year, and we will be talking to Mr. Sid Carter and others next week. Miss Black, Southeastern Oklahoma State University from Durant, Camille Phelps. Miss Black, Spencer is Francesco Thomas. Ladies and gentlemen, from Taft, Oklahoma. And later when we went to Taft, Oklahoma, the principal told us that he was going to be sending a young lady, and he has a beautiful young Amiki Toure. Westmore is sending a beautiful young lady, Latrice Miller. Miss Black Village is Karen Wallace, and Tulsa will select their representative next week. Now, in all, we have some 44 young ladies. And I have a young lady here that I sure want to get in contact with me. Manette Johnson, if any of you know Manette Johnson, who lives on Northwest 104th Street, be sure and tell her to get in contact with me immediately. That's it.
One thing, Mrs. Luper, I'm certainly happy to see 44 contestants, because in our society, we see so much of the other side of life. When we pick up the paper, we read about being jailed for drugs, being jailed for this and that. Now, in our community, we say, now, what can we do to really help our youth? Now, you have an opportunity. Now, don't come complaining, saying, I can't do this, and I can't do that, and I can't do something else. Because we have 44 participants, and we do not want them to be there as orphans, because we do know they have parents, they have cousins, they have nieces, they have nephews, grandmothers, grandfathers, sisters, brothers, and uncles, and cousins. I want you to get behind these people and support them. Now, if you have never seen a good program, and I mean a real good program, you need to come and see the Miss Black Oklahoma City pageant.
That's May 5th.
On May the 5th. Then I want you to come back in June.
June 23rd at the Marriott.
In June to see the state pageant. Now, once you see the city pageant, this just gives you a little sample. It's just like you go in and pick up little samples of things. But when you come back to the state, this is really where you're going to get to eat the full meal. So now, if you want to show some support and see what you can do, this is a chance for you to come out and help young people.
All 200 of you, because with the 44 contestants, they have already sent in the number of guests they will have, Lydia, and we must be excited. And we would like to thank the people at the St. James Baptist Church. The young ladies will arrive in Oklahoma City on June 17th, and there will be a big reception given for them at the Park Inn International Hotel, which is the headquarters, and they will worship at the St. James Baptist Church. And we would like to thank you. Last year we worshiped where? At Avery.
At Avery Church, and then I think the year before you were at First AME Church, and
and the year before then you were at Fifth Street, right?
Right, either vice versa.
I'm sorry, lady. Go on.
But one thing, I want to thank all of the churches for inviting us and giving us an opportunity to come to the church, because when we left, they were saying we didn't know that this was of this kind of magnitude. And Clara, let me share this. It won't take me about a minute. I remember there was a contest going on. The whites were having a pageant. And there was a lady who did not live in Oklahoma City, and she was on the radio, and she was saying that she had frowned on the pageants because she thought it was a lot of money and a lot of waste of time, until her daughter arrived at the age to get into the pageant. And her daughter got in the pageant, and she worked with her daughter. And she said, you know what? I'm sorry for the things that I had said about the pageant. She said, unless you get in a thing and work with it, you do not see the value, the educational experiences, the cultural experiences, and the friendliness and the togetherness that girls can have just by working and coming together from across the state in a pageant. And it really does give them a wonderful experience, because they will learn to share together. They learn to give and to love and to take. And she said, I'm going to always, from now on, work with the pageant, and I'm going to sponsor the pageant. And I remember one time I had a judge who was a news reporter. And he told me, he said, you know, Mrs. Hunter, I didn't know this was this magnitude, and I've been on the radio program downing pageants. And I'm glad that you invited me to come and be one of your judges. And he asked that he could be the judge the next year, because he said, I did not know that we had so much talent, so much pause and so much grace and so much giving in the pageant as you will have here. And he said, what we see on the outside, and we see so much of it out there for free, that we do not know that in this little nucleus there is something good and better that would overshadow and even cover up all of the bad that we see if we only come to see it. And Clara, I just had to share those two experiences.
Well, we are very fortunate, and those of you that would like to give scholarships or do anything for the young ladies, you can call me at 424-3949. Philip, we know that we will be receiving for the state winners this year scholarships from Phillips Petroleum Company, Marilyn Hildred, your Allstate agent, Julia Seward Anderson, Carl Carbon, the J&J Construction Company, Evelyn Pittman, Robert Gates, McDonald's, where your favorite place to eat. We know we will be receiving special considerations from Stales and from others, all at the 1990 pageant. Now, those of you that want to do something to help young people, I want you to call me next week and tell me that you would like to give a pageant in your name or in memory of someone that believed in young people. These young ladies, 44 of them, are students that need to go to college. They need scholarships. You would be surprised at the prices of books. If you would just give a pen scholarship, these young ladies would really appreciate it. And I just received word from Mr. Attorney Louis Barber that he wants to do something very special.
And I'm
First
sure
Assistant Attorney Johnny Green has called, and he really wants to do something special for the young ladies.
And I'm sure those who were there last year that were presenting awards will be back again. They just have not called you, and they have not contacted you to tell you that they will be giving these awards. So I'm almost sure that they will be calling in. And, guess I don't know if I can talk about my good friend, because she is an educator and she's always interested in children and youth succeeding. The only thing that she's always interested in that you are enrolled in college, and she's partial to Langston. That's quite all right. I would be too if I was going to give a scholarship and I was giving my personal money for a scholarship. I'd want them to go to Langston because I think Langston is one of the best institutions on this side of heaven. So therefore, I'm sure my friend, Ms. Luper, is going to be calling you
Yes, that's
to give.
Thelma Parks. I
Right.
knew you would want to tell about the scholarship that she gives to
Right.
a member of the pageant that's going to Langston University. Now, those of you that would like to give scholarships, those of you that would like to help these young ladies, please call me at 424-3949. I'll call Letty at 427-3925. We are on our way to McAllister now, where McAllister will select that one young lady that will represent them. I don't want to brag about the pageant, but I can tell you what Mr. Anderson, the national pageant director, says that Oklahoma has the best pageant in the United States of America. Chicago is sending a delegation down here just to look at our pageant. Kansas City, Missouri will be represented here. Mr. Harris from New York City has already made reservations at the hotel for the pageant. We have a whole group of people that's coming from Altus, Oklahoma, that will stay throughout the week. And it's going to be exciting, it's going to be great, and we want you to be part of it.
And Ms. Luper, I'm going to have this brag on us some. I know we have a good pageant, because there was Joe Green, who came all the way down here from Chicago, and she has been down here twice. And the
She's
first
coming
year,
this year.
the first year she came, she said, "Boy, I'm gonna take part of this that you're doing back to Chicago because I'm not doing that." And I'm finding out as we travel not only over Oklahoma, as we travel over the state, that the directors who are having their pageants are really copying off of us, and they are taking parts of our program and instilling it into their program, because they said it's a wonderful program, it's a beautiful program, it's an education program, and they want to improve their pageant, so they are copying from us. Not only are
They copied our pages. I'm real
Yes,
proud of that
they
in
copied-
Chicago.
Right, they copied our pages, and then there are others, not only Chicago, there are other states that have copied this also. And then we find around in the city, some of the people are copying after us, but we are happy to know that we do have a program that people will want to copy from.
Well, we are proud, and we must brag about our state. The one thing that's wrong with Oklahoma, we don't brag enough about our own. And the next weeks, we will be bragging about Oklahoma and Oklahoma City. Now, we have been competing with Tulsa. Tulsa would like to have the state pageant. The reason why we have not gone to Tulsa is because of you. We want to bring the money to Oklahoma City because of you. You told us you wanted to keep this pageant in Oklahoma, and there will be representatives here from Tulsa looking this year to see what kind of participation we are getting in terms of ads, in terms of gifts and what have you. And if they can beat us, I'm sure my national promoter will say go to Tulsa. But I don't believe they can beat us because you are here in Oklahoma City. And with your being here, we know everything is going to be all right. Letty, today I would like to just thank everybody for the support of the educators. The teachers look good, and I know when the teachers go back to their classroom, they will have a different respect for Martin Luther King Jr. Some of the teachers used to tell me, Clara, I don't see why you all are marching. I just think it's over to march. Well, we marched for victory. And to hear the teachers singing the songs that led us through the civil rights movement was really satisfying. And I'm so happy that I marched with the teachers.
Oh, I know that was a wonderful experience. But you know, Mrs. Luper, when we were sitting in, when I said we, because I was part of the NAACP, and they were around talking about us sitting in and walking and standing around. And did you ever dream that the day would come that they would be doing the thing that they had condemned you about doing? Did you ever think that would ever
you
happen?
should have seen me when the teachers saw me, my white teachers, my Hispanics, my Mexican, my black teachers, they were just hugging me. Said, Clara, I'm so glad you're here, and all we are glad to see you. I say, how about your feet? And they say, my feet are tired. I say, that's the way mine was, because I marched from 1957 to 1964, and then came back and marched in 68, and we'll march again. Now, teachers, you can go home now and you can go back to your classroom and you can teach. You can tell them how it feels to have tired feet, but the victory was so sweet. And we would like to thank the senators. We would like to thank the representatives that made it possible. The Amigos Club tomorrow, on next Sunday, will present the Then and Now fashion show. That will be Sunday, April the 29th at 4 p.m. at the Oklahoma Historical Society building. And according to Mrs. Dorothy McLaughlin, Mrs. Theresa Brown, Mrs. Nancy Davis, Mrs. Lynzetta Carter, Mrs. Olive Wallace, Mrs. Johnny Jones, Mrs. Rosetta Coleman, and others, it's going to be out of sight. So be sure and see Mrs. David Lee Hall or any others and get your tickets for that big fashion show. Letty, I'm going to McAllister, but before I go, I want to tell the people something.
Well, what are you going to tell people?
I don't make the news, as Abram Ross used to say. I just report the news. I have been telling you about Tinkerfield. I'm a part of that credit union because of the influence that the Hunters have had on me. Joined the credit union, and we are democratic, and they told me how anxious and how friendly and everything. And everything, and the Hunters told me, oh, those are really friendly people. They are considerate people.
Oh, now,
And you told me that. You told me that. You got me into this. You got me into
because
this.
whatever, if Mr. Hunter told you something,
They told
he
me
really did tell you the truth, and he was sincere. And
Okay, well, anyway, you might have told me the truth. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I went to the political meeting where they were interviewing candidates. And when they were interviewing candidates, Letty, they were so friendly. Oh, everybody was friendly. I hadn't met some of them, and they were telling me their names. Oh, I am Slaughter, and I'm Longnecker, and I'm... Oh, they went on down the line. They were the most friendliest people that I have ever seen. They were shaking hands, they were handing out literature, and they were all smiling, and I heard them speak, and I heard them talking about what they were going to do, and they had an open door policy and all of that. Now, that took place at Lincoln Plaza. I heard that. They were friendly. They were open-minded. And then on Friday?
Just say one day last week.
Okay,
because
one day last week,
be
I went out to Tinkerfield to get
you have the date there, but we just said one day last week.
Okay. I went out to Tinkerfield, and I was informed that they were having a board meeting. And I said to Letty, I know that these board of director members, these board of directors would like to see us. They were so friendly and they talked to, and I remember one in particular saying, and I don't know anything about credit unions, that he was going to build a credit union up. And I think this one was one, but that's not important. The important thing that these people were so friendly. I really wanted to go out and see them in operation. I wanted to go to the meeting because I understood, and I'm not dumb because I'm from Hoffman. I know that I did not want to be in a meeting when they were discussing personnel changes or discussing finances, loans, and mortgages. I was not interested in that. I just wanted to see these people that told everybody how efficient they were and how they were concerned with the members. I said, well, I just want to go out just for the first few minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, as a history teacher, I want to tell you today, in front of the whole world, that politicians can change. There are many that can shake hands with you and smile, but when you go into their residence, as far as their meetings are concerned, you see a different person. Let me tell you what happened to me. And I can only tell you what I saw with my eyes, and I was seeing because Dr. A.L. Dial is my optometrist. Dr. A.L. Dial is located at 934 Northeast 8th Street, and he sees to it that I wear good eye glasses. Now, I had my glasses on. I went, and I took me a seat. Who was smiling at me? There were only two of the board members that even smiled at me. One man that had been so friendly toward me during the time that I visited the meeting, both the election and the meeting where we were allowed to question the candidates, was so friendly then, but he only held his head down. He didn't have the guts to come over and say, how are you today? The others came by, and I had three, I marked it down so you would know, there were 4 board members that spoke to me, and the others looked at me as if I came out of space. That meeting, ladies and gentlemen, the meeting hadn't started, but that meeting was as cold as an Alaskan icicle toward me. I was amazed, but let me tell you what happened. I had not met formally the president, and I knew the president would come over there and say to me, welcome to the board meeting. You can only stay for a few minutes. Oh, I would have felt good. But ladies and gentlemen, you will not believe this. I want you to hold your seats because I'm going to tell you exactly what happened to a member of Tinkle Credit Union, Clara Luper. Well, when I got there, a little young attorney Daniel P. Stake came over and didn't speak. He said to me in a cold voice, Mrs. Luper, you will have to leave this meeting. You are not allowed to attend this meeting. I was shocked. I expected the attorney to say to me, I'm the corporate attorney paid out of the Tinker Credit Union funds, and I would like to welcome you here just for a few minutes. But in place of that, he said, you have to leave. I looked at him. I was astonished because I had been asked out of restaurants during the days of segregation. I had been discriminated, and here I'm sitting in my own credit union board meeting. He didn't ask me what I wanted. He didn't ask me why I was there. He didn't say, I'm happy to see you, but he told me to get out. Now, as Paul Harvey said, for the rest of the story, my friend Mrs. Hunter was there, and she certainly has more money in the credit union than I've ever dreamed of having. What did they say to you, Mrs. Hunter?
Well, Mrs. Luper, they told me the same thing, and I asked them why.
Who told you that?
Well, the president is the one that tapped me on the shoulder, yes.
He tapped you on the
shoulder and told me that I couldn't stay for the meeting, and I said, why? And then he said that the attorney, Stake, would tell me the reason, and I said, where is he? And he said, well, I'll take you where he is. So that's when I joined you and Mr. Attorney Stake down there at the, near the door where you were talking. And then they escorted us outside, and they talked outside with us about the attendance of the meeting.
Now, Miss Hunter, they didn't escort me. I started to stay, but I had respect for 2 members of that board, And they were scared to death. They wouldn't even look up at me. I thought one would come over and say, well, Mrs. Luper, I'm sorry that we have to put you out. But those even a black board member didn't come over and say anything to me. And that's the Honorable Mr. Cash. I thought he'd come over and say, I'm sorry. But sometimes you can be black and you get in a different environment. You can be somebody else. But certainly, no, he didn't say one word to me.
Well, that's right. He didn't come out and speak with us. But nevertheless, Mrs. Luper, I did ask them why, because I wanted to know the why. I wanted to know then how could I visit, how could I attend one of the meetings? Because if I once decide to run for that office, I want to kind of know something about it before I get in there and start running for an office. Because I remember that I asked at the forum a fellow to give me the duties of his office that he was leaving, and he told me don't worry about that one that he was leaving because he was seeking a new one, and I didn't get the duties of the new one and the duties of the old one either. So this is why I want to go, so that I'll know what are the duties.
Well, you sure didn't find out. One thing I was proud, you told them, say, well, I won't leave until you write something down. And ladies and gentlemen, I hate to tell you this, but it's the truth. It took the attorney about how many minutes to write a letter explaining why we couldn't stay?
Well, we stayed out there, Mrs. Luper, 30 minutes.
Before he could finish?
Before he could write one, and in 30 minutes I wanted to be sure that they knew we were still waiting for the correspondence that they were going to give me, so I kind of tapped on the door to let them know that we were out there, and we've been standing outside for 30 minutes waiting on the note that he was preparing for us.
What was so funny about it, the first part of the letter really questioned our intelligence because it stated that they would discuss new loans, delinquencies, charges, and all of that. Now, they were stupid enough to think that we wanted to be in on that discussion. They had the wrong information, and I don't want to call them stupid. I'm only saying that maybe they looked at us and they saw that we were black women. They didn't think we had sense enough to know that we cannot go into any meeting where they're discussing personnel. But I want to tell them I'm from Hoffman, Oklahoma, and I know business. But the last part of it is one I would like to share with all of you, members of the Tinkerfield Credit Union. Members who have legitimate business to present to the Board of Directors should submit the same in writing prior to the meeting. There is no guarantee that the members will be allowed to personally appear before the board, because most matters can be resolved based upon the written statement. Now, as a history teacher, I remember when Hitler took over in Germany and they refused to let the public in on any of the meetings. So I would like to say that from my observation, and this is just me, my thinking, this is a Hitleristic action. As you know, now listen, as you know, and he tells us where the Board of Directors, where the credit union corporate office, as if we didn't know. This is the worst letter, and I sure would hate for Mr. State to be my attorney.
Because after writing the letters and saying that you want to come to the meeting, he said there is no guarantee that you'll even get in then. When can we get in? This is all I want to know.
They have created more questions because they need to know, and I'm going back out there to the meeting. But I think this time I'll go where they tell me to leave. I won't just let them put me in jail. Because I would like to hear just two things. I would like to hear first the roll call, and I would like to hear the reading of the minutes. Then I'd be happy to leave. I don't know whether I don't know what I'll do. But anyway, this is the Clara Luper radio show, and today's show is being made possible by Cash Lands located at 1945 Northeast of 23rd Street here in Oklahoma City. At Cash Lands, you can pay your utility bills. You can use Western Union, and you can cash those checks, all at Cash Lands, 1945 Northeast 23rd or 23rd and Martin Luther King Avenue. On next Saturday, the NACP Youth Council will sponsor a combination dinner. Those of you that would like to have some good barbecue, you would like to have good barbecue chicken, and you would like to have barbecue bologna, all on one plate, be sure and contact some workers in NACP. As you know, we are working to build a living monument to blacks, and many of you have helped us, and you have seen the results of your work. You have also told us that you're going all of the way with us, and we really appreciate it, and we would like to appreciate the churches that have helped us. And the only reason we haven't started on our paving was because of the Environmental Protection Agency that said to us that we had to get the tanks out before we could do anything else. So what we did, we used the money that we were going to start on the paving to take the tanks out. And I think those of you that passed Freedom Center and saw, how many tanks were that?
There were 4 tanks, Mrs. Luper.
There were 4 tanks, and the Environmental Protection Agency they were dangerous because there was some gas that had been left in those tanks. Bright's Cleaners, located at 4905 North Martin Luther King here in Oklahoma City. If you need some cleaning, just go to Bright's Cleaners, 1945 Northeast 23rd Street here in Oklahoma City. Help us keep the Miss Black Oklahoma pageant in Oklahoma City. To do it, support us with your ads and with buying the 200 tickets that we have left, all here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Marilyn Hildred, Calvin Loop, and others would like for you to do something that's really exciting, and that is to come out and let them look at your insurance policies. If they can give you a better deal, I know you will take it. I've just received word that the Ku Klux Klanners have put crosses out in the Spencer area. And those of you out in the Spencer area, if you see some crosses, please call us, let us know, and call the Oklahoma City or the Spencer policeman. We are not afraid of the Ku Klux Klanners. In fact, I would like to invite them to come to my church tomorrow. I would like to invite the Ku Klux Klanners to come to Fifth Street Baptist Church and worship God with us, because God is our Father and man is our brother, and we consider you as our brothers. We would also like to invite the gang members, those of you that are members of gangs. I would like to invite you to come to our churches, hear about the great God of the universe. We want you to do that. We want you to hear about God, because God loves everybody, and certainly he loves you. In a minute, Onita and Lady Ruth will be here. Lady Ruth will be taking charge because I've got to get to McAllister, Oklahoma. And when I leave you, once again, I would like to invite all of you that are members of gangs, all of you that are Ku Klux Klanners, all of you that are members of hate groups, to come to our churches. Learn about God. Learn about Jesus. Learn about love, because it's better to love than to hate. Don't ever hate a person because of their race, their creed, or their color. Be loving. Be kind, be understanding. And those of you that are our brothers, whether you are brothers that would hate another brother, whether you are a brother that would steal from another brother, we invite you to come to our churches. Let's fill our churches tomorrow. Let's sing songs about the great God of the universe, and let's practice that love. And here's Letty and Onita.
We will now have Onita with our death announcements. Onita?
Okay. Ross Funeral Home announces the following services. Services for Mrs. Ruby Fox Denmark of 1316 Northeast 12th will be Monday at 11 a.m. at the St. John Baptist Church. Funeral service for Mr. Clarence Bridges of 820 Northeast 36th will be Tuesday at 11 a.m. at the Fairview Baptist Church. Funeral service from Mr. Alden Glasper of 714 Northeast 19th will be Wednesday at 11 a.m. at the St. John Baptist Church. Temple Funeral Home announces the following services. Services from Mr. Nathaniel Cook of 514 Northwest 28th Street will be Monday at 11 a.m. in the chapel of the Temple Funeral Home. Funeral service for Mrs. May Dean Wilson of 3711 Northeast Military is pending with the Temple Funeral Home. Funeral service for Mr. Chief Brown of Oklahoma City is also pending with the Temple Funeral Home. As we extend to you this evening our deepest sympathy to the families, we want to say we do not know why sorrow comes, and burning teardrops have to fall. We only know that God still is God, and he watches over us all. And back to Nettie.
Thank you so very much for our this week's deaf announcements. And just
A few moments ago, I just left church and came here because we had a service at our church, and my church is the First AME Church, to a friend who was 90 years old, and that lady was none other than Eddie Mae Jones. Mrs. Jones has been a member there at First AME for several years. Truly, we will miss Mrs. Jones. And if you had been there, you would have known that Mrs. Jones had lived everything that we would expect an individual who's saying that she's a Christian, she had done. As the services proceeded today, she had so many friends from across the state. And let me tell you something that I thought was unusual about Mrs. Jones's services today and about Mrs. Jones. Upon Mrs. Jones' passing, when her niece came, she said, I do not have to worry about the program nor the speakers or anyone, because Mrs. Jones had made all of those arrangements. She had prepared her entire program. She had prepared who wanted was going to be the pallbearers, the flower bearers, the music, and where her body would lie and stay. And she had gone across the state, and she had asked a Reverend R.C. Jenkins from Ardmore, Oklahoma, at the Metropolitan AME Church to come just for the prayer. And he came. She had also asked another pastor that wasn't a member of First AME, the Reverend J.H. Tucker, who belonged to the great New Zion Baptist Church, the Baptist Church. And he came, and he read the 90th Psalms. Now, if you have not read the 90th Psalms, you do not remember what it said. I'm going to say again, the 90th Psalms. Get it out. What a beautiful, beautiful division of Psalms that was read today. And the solo that came, Peace in the Valley, from Cleo Jackson, was also beautifully. And then she also had gone to Muskogee, Oklahoma, and she had asked the Reverend A.L. Williams, who was the minister over there at Ward's Chapel AME Church, if he would come. And he came all the way from Muskogee just to sing a solo. One of the solos that she loved and a favorite of hers, Come Ye Disconsolate. He was there. And then our own pastor, the Reverend C.T. Carrington, who brought the eulogy. And it was beautifully delivered because he told us that Mrs. Jones had lived her life. And we could see the things, and we could remember the things that Mrs. Jones had done. And he felt that in 90 years, she had been with us for 90 years, that God is with us, and he has an appointment and an appointed time for us. This says our minister, Reverend Carrington. So we were very saddened to miss Mrs. Jones. And we want to say to the family, our hearts go out to you. And we extend to you a heartfelt sympathy. And if there's anything that I can do, or the members of the First AME, don't hesitate to call on us. Do call us. And we will be happy to do anything that we can do for you. I want to remind you again that we are having Miss Black Oklahoma City. And this is the pageant. And it will be held at the Park Inn International Hotel. And the address is 3200 South Prospect. And that's off of I-35 and 29th. The date is May the 5th, 1990. May the 5th. I'll be looking for you to come and share this glorious occasion with us, Miss Black Oklahoma City pageant. And then in June, we will look for you to come back and share an experience again, June the 23rd. This is when we will be having our state pageant on June the 23rd. And then, as she told you, we will be going to church. One thing about it, the girls always love to go to church. They always like to take part in the church services, and they also always like to make a contribution to the church services. And all of the girls that's going to participate in the state pageant, I want to tell you, I love you. I haven't seen you and I have not met you. But because you cared and because you want to make an adventure to show people that I am somebody, I can do something. I can do something that is constructive and that is worthwhile for my community. I can show the talent and I can exhibit my talent to let people know that I do have an ability and I do have a worthwhile program that I would like to share with my community. All we're asking you is to come out to see. And I guarantee you, once you come, you will want to continue to come, and you will not ever want to miss another one. I've been there for some 20 years, and each time I get a new experience. I get a new inspiration to know that our young people haven't given up. They haven't given up. Maybe the old ones have given up.
I doubt that very seriously, Mrs. Hunter, because of the fact, I'm sitting here looking at a beautiful young lady, and I can just imagine you being in a pageant. And I think that would have been a great thing if years ago that you, Mom, all the talented people out there, Mrs. Parks, Merlin Hildred, Rita Carroll Tolliver, if all that beauty and all that talent would have had an opportunity to be displayed like these young ladies have an opportunity to do coming up in this Miss Black Oklahoma pageant, Miss Black Oklahoma City pageant. They're fortunate, but then I don't think they can compete with the beauty and the grace and the elegance that you all have. I don't know if it's come through the years, if it come through because you wanted to. There's a beautiful thing about black women, and the best thing about a black woman, I think, is seeing that talent. And that talent will be exhibited at the Miss Black Oklahoma pageant, not only from the contestants, but from the announcers. Not only from the announcers, but from the judges, from you, the audience. Everybody has an opportunity to participate and to be a part of that pageant. And it's a fantastic experience, and like Mrs. Hunter was saying, you need to be there to be a part of it. And the Miss Black Oklahoma this year, I'm looking forward to it because there's some talented young ladies out there. They're beautiful. I've had an opportunity to meet about 5 of them. But I'm looking forward to the Miss Oklahoma City pageant because this is the year I think that Miss Black Oklahoma City will be Miss Black Oklahoma. Now, we've been waiting on that a long time, but I think that this is the year when this young lady that we select, that is selected from Oklahoma City, will be Miss Black Oklahoma. I'm going on record on that now, and I'm looking forward to it. What do you think, Ms. Hunter?
Oh, Calvin, I'm looking forward to it because I've been contacting my judges, and I've asked them judges to come so they can evaluate these beautiful girls. And let me tell them about the competition that they will have. They will be competing first. We will be an interview. They have a chance to talk with the girls and see how they can articulate and just really what they know about their world and the environment in which they live. Then they will present a talent. And I don't know what the talent is.
That's one part of the pageant that I love is that talent presentation. The questions that the judges ask at the interview, we the audience don't have an opportunity to be a part of all of that, but we can see it, we know when it's coming up. But then when that talent comes out there, you see these beautiful black talented young ladies come out there with all these different type of skits or different type songs, and they be singing from their heart. Oh my goodness gracious.
Yes, they have songs and dramatical readings and interpretive dancing. They do so many things that
after the talent comes that part that every male in the audience looks forward to.
It's a swimsuit.
The swimwear.
Right, the
contest.
swimwear, Calvin.
With that Monday walk, you think they have that Monday walk this year?
Oh, you know they're going to have the Monday walk because Miss Monday is coming all the way back because she said, I cannot stay away. This is what I tell you. You know, Miss Monday is always all the way up in where? Carolina.
She's South Carolina.
In South
Carolina.
Carolina.
She's an integral part of the Miss Black Oklahoma pageant. She's sort of like, she's a person that gives the girls, I think, that additional drive. You know, they come from different communities. There's 1 week that they have to get a show together. Mrs. Monday is a driver, and she makes sure that they get it together. And more than that, she's an inspiration to not only the contestants, but the pages.
But the pages also,
and
right.
escorts and everything.
That's
It's a
true.
fantastic thing. And then it's a beautiful show between her and Mom and you. Oh my goodness gracious! I look forward. I'm just so anxious. What's the date on this pageant? I'll make sure I put that on my calendar.
Well, I know you
again.
have June the 23rd on your, and you also have May the 5th. But
Yeah.
this is what I'm saying. Now, there she is all the way up there in Carolina. She's going to come all the way, pay her way, because she wants to come back here and be a part of this state pageant.
Well, I think that says a lot.
This is what I'm going to
says a
say,
lot.
that it does say a lot. That she knows that these girls are girls who want to be somebody, and the girls who want to get off and really produce and show the country not only
Then that
their
Monday
community.
walk and that swimwear is outstanding.
And-
but then there's another part of the pageant that I love is the beauty when they come out in these
In the
fabulous
evening
wear. Oh,
But now,
my goodness.
to wear a swimsuit on that stage, you will have to have positivity all around you. That bubble of yours will have to go great big to just think. You got to walk in front of all of those lights and cross the stage, and they show poise, grace, and self-assurance. It's what's so good.
I heard this year that you and Mom were going to wear swimwear.
Now, wait a minute, Calvin. We said swimwear, but we didn't tell you where we're going to put that
Wear
swimsuit on.
swimwear at.
We
But
didn't
good
tell you
things
where.
will be happening. May 5th is Miss Black Oklahoma City pageant. That pageant will be held where?
That's going to be the May 5th is going to be at Park Inn Motel. That's off of I-35 and 29th.
Southeast
Park Inn
29th. Okay, the Park Inn
Southeast.
International
I-35.
May 5th. Mark that down on your calendar. June 23rd, though. That's the big one.
Yeah,
this is
that's
an
the big
opportunity when the young, talented ladies from across the state have an opportunity to get together and to do their thing. And then they win some fabulous prizes. Scholarships. Say, the Miss Black Oklahoma pageant, that's the place to be, June 23rd. But good things happen to good people that do good things. You'll see a lot of them there at the pageant. But more importantly than that, we want to wish all of you out there the very best this weekend. We want you to have this to be your very best week. We've had a tremendous week here in Oklahoma City. We've suffered through the rain. We've
We've had
suffered.
Thousands of teachers from across the state who
They come
have
here and they suffered. That was
That's
really
right.
fantastic. You know?
Right. I went out there to the Capitol because I wanted to know, and I wanted them to know that I was in sympathy with them and that I really believed in what they were trying to do. And this is the only way.
Well, I think
that
the
we can get
teachers
them
need a
in.
raise. I know the teachers need a raise, but then I think we, the public, need some better teaching going on in the public school system. But we'll talk about that later on a different show. But good things happen to those of us who do good things to good people. So let's work together. Let's be a part of this community. Let's clean up our community. Let's make sure it's best. But most importantly of all, from Calvin Luper, from Marilyn Hilge at Allstate Insurance, from Dr. A.L. Dow, your friendly optometrist,
And-
from all of the people who advertise on the Clara Luper Show, I'm going to say this part, and then I'm going to leave Mrs. Hunter to say her part. We love you.
We love you. Bye now.
Let's settle back at the